Did you meet your husband in Seattle?
I met my husband and married him here.
Can you tell us about that?
Huh?
Can you tell us about him?
Well, he was a young man. He was at, when I met him, he was at what they call at that time, it was on First Avenue. It was called Camp George Jordan. Well, to be frank, it was, Seattle wasn't nothing but Navy, Air Force, and Army. And what was that other one? It's another one.
Marines.
Marines. And it wasn't nothing but stations all around here. It wasn't nothing but servicemen. You didn't see a civilian man walking the street. It was all servicemen. And I met him at some kind of, they used to have a lot of functions that they invited the young women's, because most of the women's here was between 16 and 21. And of course the servicemen was in that same age bracket. So when we did have a night off, well, I worked day shift, so I had, after I came home from work in the evenings, 4 or 5 o'clock, and if the servicemen was having something at the base, some kind of way, they would, and we lived in a, after we all had jobs, they put up a housing unit for the people, for the women that worked at Boeing's that the government had sent here. They put it up in the Warmish Bend, starting like Fidalgo, 4th Avenue South, in Fidalgo. That's where we lived, in between 1st Avenue, Fidalgo, to 4th Avenue. I forgot that other street name. But it was between 4th and 1st where the houses was built. And that's where we all lived as Boeing's workers. It might have been a few in there that went and caught the ferry in the morning and went to Bremerton. But most of us lived in the housing facilities that was there in the Warmish Bend. So when night would come, when we got off from work, then we'd come home and shower, get dressed, and the Army or the Navy or the Air Force would send a bus to pick us up to come and entertain the young men. So that's how we made connections with the young men. It was a lot of marrying and that kind of thing. Because most of us were single. It might have been a few, well, I tell you how it happened to be that they was here, because their husbands was in the service. And so they joined NYA, I think that's what it was called. And they was along with the single women's as well. So nobody had a husband, nobody had nothing but a Boeing job or a Navy Yard job. And when it, well, after you done worked all day, young women's and men's don't know they tired. Then we would go and entertain, singing and dancing and what have you. That was our fun part, because it was nowhere else to go. It wasn't nothing. Seattle was blah. It was just Seattle. Nothing was here really. I wish that it was some way we could go back and you could see what I'm saying. That was Madison and Jackson and Yesler.